Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan with Muslim Network TV, and this is GTA Muslims Today. I have the pleasure of interviewing Marit Stiles, the leader of the ONDP in opposition to the Liberals and the Ford government here in Ontario. Marit, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So, we're at the Middle East Festival here. You've been here before, you're here now. How has the reception been? What do you like about this?
Well, I think this is the third year now that I've come down here, and it's wonderful. First of all, amazing food, wonderful things to buy, lots to learn, and a really nice music and culture being shared here. And I think what's nice about it is it's celebrating culture in the Middle East and the diversity of that culture as well, which I think is really important for so many of us to understand better.
For sure. Now, you were a school board trustee,
yes,
which is not a typical path that politicians take. How do you feel like that and your background have shaped your motivations and the way you do politics?
Well, I was a school board trustee because I was a mother. I had two daughters in the public school system, and I wanted their schools to be stronger. I wanted to make sure that all the kids could do better in school. And so that's why I became a school board trustee. And it's a lot of the same reason why I decided to run in provincial politics, to improve our education system, to make sure that families are supported. What really drives me and has driven me for a long time is the fact that I am a mother. I want everything to be better for my children and for my future grandchildren maybe, and for everybody else's children as well. And that includes, protecting our planet, making sure that our schools are strong, our healthcare is strong, and that we build lots of opportunity for people.
Yeah, I could definitely relate as a father myself. All our actions are definitely motivated of making our children's lives better and stronger. So I know the ONDP, just going with what you were talking about, I know the ONDP have been very vocal about making sure our healthcare system, school system, transportation, other areas of society remain strong. How do you feel the NDP are different than the other liberal and conservative parties?
Yeah, in Democrats, the NDP, Ontario Democrats, we care a lot about the public healthcare system in particular and public services. We think that's what makes us Canadians unique and distinct. We believe in the values of people being able to access healthcare without a credit card. That's fundamental to who we are as Canadians. It was the NDP, a past leader, Tommy Douglas, who introduced that system for the first time in Canada. So we believe deeply in that. But I think it's also important to understand that publicly funded education, really strong healthcare and publicly funded healthcare, and making it accessible to everyone equally is also a competitive advantage for us as a country. It means it's a reason why people come here from other countries. It draws talent. It means that we are distinct from the United States. It's one of the reasons why companies located here, because they could take advantage of that opportunity for their employees. There's a lot going for it, but fundamentally, it's about that principle of equity, that everyone, no matter where you're at and what your background or your income level, should have access to excellent quality health care.
Now, during the federal elections, I interviewed a lot of people.
Yes.
Community leaders, the general public. And one of the most recurring things that came up was cost of living, housing, rent, groceries. What does the NDP offer people that are really frustrated with, the cost of living right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of areas where people are really feeling the pinch right now, and I think it's unfortunately looks like it's going to get worse. If the economy falters, a lot of people are already struggling. I'm concerned it's going to get worse. One of the big ones, and you look around a city like Toronto, where we're standing today, is rent. Is the cost of living, is the cost of housing has gotten so expensive in the city of Toronto, but I'm finding it everywhere across Ontario. Rent, there are very few guidelines around how high rent can go up. And so we are finding some landlords, increasing rent 50% a year. People cannot afford that, and people are losing their homes and their livelihoods. So that's a big concern. So I really believe in bringing back real rent control to support tenants and help everybody. But I also believe that we need to be building more housing, and we need to make sure that that's not all just big, expensive houses, but there's something for everyone. So more affordable housing is really important in the province of Ontario. And the other thing I wanted to mention is in the last provincial election, we talked about a grocery rebate. Let's give people a break on the fact that these big grocery corporations are hiking the cost of groceries. We want to crack down on that, and we want to make sure that people, when things are tough, get a little extra help.
Yeah, definitely. I really believe that, a lot of the major companies and corporations are still recording record profits. Banks,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, a lot of the attention sometimes from, I'm not saying the NDP, but, like in general, politicians, they'll talk about like immigration and these sort of things. So they focus on the most vulnerable and weakest in society instead of on the people that are actually making the most money, and it's a little bit bizarre, right?
It's so true, and it's so frustrating, right? Because you look around here and you think there's so many people in this country and in this province and here in the city of Toronto work so hard. And also, by the way, we want people to come. Bring your skills, that is what Canada was built on. I'm an immigrant. We're all immigrants to this country, unless you're First Nations, and we need that talent and people to come here. And so and the flip side of that is that a lot of the big corporations, grocery corporations, big corporate landlords are buying up housing and setting rent really high, and they're making billions off of it while people are paying the price. We need to get things worked out here and evened out a little bit more justice for the people of Ontario.
So honestly, I would love to ask you a lot more questions, but I know you got to run, so I have two more for you.
Sure,
obviously, we're at the Middle East Festival here.
Yes.
And I know the NDP was one of the first, if not the first, political party to call what is taking place in Palestine a genocide.
Right.
Why is it important for politicians and people in power to speak up? And do you feel the Canadian government has done enough?
Well, I think speaking up about what's happening in Palestine is not just a political imperative, it's a moral imperative, right? We know that at least 50,000 people have lost their lives, if not many more. It is a genocide. What I'm hearing from people here in Ontario of all different backgrounds is that they're very concerned, and they want the provincial and, well, really at the end of the day, we know it's the federal government ultimately to ensure that they're taking a stronger stand. I think people in Canada and Ontario have made that very clear, actually, and I hope that the government listens.
For sure. And it all works together. I know it is a federal thing, but even on the municipal level, Mississauga has done some really good things.
That's right.
Ontario can, and it all works together. My final question to you is, ahead of the next provincial election, what is your message to Muslims and to our viewers?
Yeah. Well, I guess my message would be this. It is not too late to make change, right? I believe that hopefulness is radical right now. We have an opportunity to change things. And so be hopeful, but work for change. Work with your neighbors, work in your communities, and then seek out your elected representatives, whatever political stripe, and make your opinions clear. I really believe, especially for young people today, the world is going through some really difficult things. It's really important that your voices are heard. So don't be satisfied with politicians who come to you and tell you what to think, right? Instead, make sure they're listening to you. It's really important. It's an important and fundamental part of our democracy.
That was definitely part of a theme that we had during the federal election.
Excellent.
We were telling people to go out and vote, but that's just the first step. You have to stay engaged. You got to speak to your politicians, to your representatives. And, if you have somebody like Marit Stiles, I'm sure it'll be a pleasure to work with her. Marit, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
This is Ahmed Ramadan from Muslim Network TV.